integrating multimedia in teaching of English and social studies through massive open online course, MOOC. In this video, you will have an insight on how to effectively plan a learner-centered lesson plan. Learner-centered teaching is an instructional approach that emphasizes the roles of students as participants in and drivers of their own learning. A learner-centered lesson approach puts the learner at the center of the learning process, emphasizing their needs, interests, and goals. These approaches challenge students, expand their thinking by confronting them with thought-provoking statements, tasks, or scenarios that cause them to pay closer attention and cognitively see a topic from new perspectives. A learner-centered lesson approach views learners as active agents. They bring their own knowledge, past experiences, and ideas, and this impacts how they take on board new information and learn. The learner-centered lessons include laboratory work, group discussions, service and project-based learning, and student-led research, among others. Having gone through what a learner-centered lesson is and how it can benefit the learner, it is therefore important for teachers to get familiar with the basics of planning a learner-centered lesson. The following are components you should consider in planning your learner-centered lesson in English and social studies. Authenticity. The teacher is required to ensure the lesson is relevant and meaningful to the learner's interests, needs, and goals. The lesson should connect to real-world situations and challenge the learner to apply their knowledge and skills. Personalization. The lesson should be tailored to the learner's preferences, strengths, and challenges. It should give the learner an opportunity to choose their own learning path, pace, and strategies. It should also provide opportunities for self-assessment and reflection. Competency. The lesson should be focused on developing the learner's skills and abilities, not just covering content. The lesson should use clear and measurable learning outcomes and criteria for success. The learner-centered lesson should also provide feedback and support to help the learner improve their performance. Inclusion. The lesson should respect and respond to the learner's diversity, background, and identity. It should create a safe and supportive learning environment that fosters collaboration and communication at the same time, promoting equity and social justice. Strategies for designing learner-centered lesson. A learner-centered lesson can be designed using various strategies such as active learning. The learners engage in activities that require them to think critically, creatively, and analytically. They also interact with other learners and the instructor to share ideas and perspectives. Problem-based learning. The learners work on solving a complex and authentic problem that requires them to use their prior knowledge and research new information. They also present and justify their solutions and receive feedback from others. Project-based learning. The learners work on creating a product or a performance that demonstrates their understanding and application of the learning outcomes. They also reflect on their learning process and outcomes and receive feedback from others. Flipped classroom. The learners access the content and materials before the class session, such as watching videos, reading texts, or completing quizzes. They then use the class time to engage in active learning activities such as discussions, simulations, or experiments. Having gone through various components to be considered when planning a learner-centered lesson plan, it is equally important to identifying what you want your students to learn and how you will assess their progress. You should then create engaging and meaningful learning objectives that are measurable and focused on student learning outcomes. One effective strategy for planning learner-centered lessons is the high five lesson technique. This technique involves 5 stages, which are activating student interest and knowledge, modeling and teaching skills and ideas, guiding student practice, independent work, and quick assessments of student understanding. Another effective technique is the discovery lesson approach, which encourages students to work together to answer questions or solve problems before the teacher models or teaches a skill or concept. To plan a learner-centered lesson, you should also consider using the 7E model. This model includes 7 stages: elicit, engage, explore, explain, elaborate, evaluate, and extend. Each stage is designed to help students develop a deep foundation of factual knowledge, understand facts and ideas in the context of a conceptual framework, and organize knowledge in ways that facilitate retrieval and application. The art of lesson planning is a creative process that can take many forms. The most important thing is to keep your students' needs and interests at the forefront of your planning process and to create engaging and meaningful learning experiences that help them achieve their learning goals. With successful planning, learners will be motivated and interested in the learning process. They will be more likely to achieve the learning outcomes and will have a sense of satisfaction with their learning. We have come to the end of this video.